And for
Right.
Warren Buffett to not even be flinching at it and not even have any interest is very telling to me in terms of what he's seeing for the financial future of these banks and the financial system. So that kind of caught my attention. While Bitcoin at some point becomes that sort of safety, that hedge, it is still a risk asset, and people have to be careful of that. If the markets do start to dump out, I still think Bitcoin does head lower and potentially much lower.
Bitcoin's value has experienced a decline for 3 consecutive days due to various negative factors, such as increased transaction fees and the bearish outlook from influential investor Warren Buffett towards riskier markets. Traders are currently evaluating these factors and their potential impact on Bitcoin's price. Hello, and welcome to Crypto Street. In this video, we'll be diving into a discussion led by Gareth Soloway on the future of Bitcoin and the potential impact of artificial intelligence on its security. Additionally, we'll be sharing the most recent updates and analyses related to Bitcoin. So, let's get started.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things stood out from their big meeting over last weekend. One was that they had no interest in getting into any of the banks, and I thought that was interesting because we think about some of where these regionals are trading, how discounted they look, and for
Right.
Warren Buffett to not even be flinching at it and not even have any interest is very telling to me in terms of what he's seeing for the financial future of these banks and the financial system. So that kind of caught my attention because again, he was the one when during the Great Recession, he jumped into a bunch of the banks at these lows, like Goldman Sachs. He got the sweetest of deals and he was willing to do it back then. He's not willing to replay that this time. So I think that's something us as investors have to take into account. In terms of other areas of interest, it's hard to pinpoint what he'd be into, but I could see, biotech is kind of an interesting area if you're looking for kind of the safety of quality that pays a dividend, like an Amgen or something like that.
Right.
Those type of stocks, I could see him potentially putting money to work in. Take a look at this, guys. So you have almost like a head and shoulders here, shoulder, head, and shoulder. And that to me, I mean, it hasn't broken yet, but if this level breaks at 155 or so, this is going to tick down pretty heavily, probably to about $133, which is a significant drop. So again, the chart to me doesn't confirm what he's seeing, but remember, Warren Buffett is a much longer term investor than I am. I'm much more shorter term. What's going to happen in the next week, 2 months, whatever. He's much more longer term, get those dividends in over the next 5-10 years. And ultimately, I'm sure in the next 5-10 years, he'll do very, very well. So for me, I do see that there's going to be some continued rotation out of the banks in terms of deposits, but I do think at least the fear of losing your money in a savings or checking account is kind of now a distant memory, right? We've seen every bank that has failed so far. The Fed or the FDIC has said, hey, we'll pay out whatever the savings amount is, no matter if it's above 250 or not. So I think that aspect is gone, but I do think that there's so much dead weight on these banks, and I think there's even more to come with commercial real estate issues that are going to pop up later this year. So to me, I'm looking at a banking sector that is going to be what I would call zombie banks, meaning that they're carrying massive amounts of unrealized losses. They don't have to actually market these losses, but they are going to only grow over time. And at some point, that's going to be another pressure cooker on the system. Yeah, so the 30,500 level was just an absolutely impressive technical range on Bitcoin. And the reason why, again, that was such a wall and price had so much trouble getting through it is if you go back to 2021, just before the big run up to 65,000, you could see that low right there.
Yeah.
Then we go right over here. That mid-cycle bull market cycle low was right there and then right over here. So it made sense that Bitcoin, again, could go up into that level and then was rejected. Now, for me, I'm watching this 27,000 level super closely. Right now, we're just above it at 27,700 or so. If that breaks, that kicks off another round of selling that probably takes us to 24 to 25,000. Now, the one thing I will say, and this is something I continue to be overall still thinking this is a bear market in crypto, that this is a bear market rally. The thinking there is not only technical, meaning we haven't got through this 30,500 level, but it's also a concern based on what we're seeing in Pepe and based on some of these other speculative crypto assets. And again, you've been around a long time, Paul. When you see that type of speculation, that's not the bottom of a market, that's the top of a market. And that to me is a big issue that I hope investors really do recognize.
Looking at the technical analysis, the current Bitcoin price is at risk of falling below $25,000 in the near future. This projection is based on the head and shoulders pattern formed by 3 peaks on a shared support level. The head peak is higher than the other 2 peaks, referred to as the left and right shoulders, which are almost the same height.
I think gold obviously is a recipient of that in some respects. I think crypto has shown glimpses of being that with Bitcoin, and early on when the banking crisis hit a couple months ago, we saw a big pop in Bitcoin. The one thing I would just point out is that recently, as early as last week, I believe it was, we saw a couple banks down close to 50%. The banking sector was looking in trouble. Again, there were rumors about even more bankruptcies, and Bitcoin actually fell that day. And so what that told me is that while Bitcoin at some point becomes that sort of safety, that hedge, it is still a risk asset, and people have to be careful of that. If the markets do start to dump out, I still think Bitcoin does head lower and potentially much lower.
In an interview with CNBC, Novogratz expressed his belief that the United States and the rest of the world are heading toward a credit crunch. He suggested that it would be wise for investors to invest in gold, silver, and Bitcoin to counter the financial instability.
I continue to be a huge bull on gold. Silver I am as well, but a longer term horizon because of the industrial side of it. And if we do slip into a recession, like I do expect in the second half of the year, then silver may struggle a little bit compared to gold. But gold to me just continues to be the no-brainer. You know, if panic is in the markets, gold is the place to go. If inflation stays high because jobs are doing well and everything like that, gold likely does well with inflation high as well. So to me, it just continues to go higher. I have an end of year price target of 2,300, and I do think it is achievable very easily by year end. Here we are at all-time highs, or basically just under all-time highs. It's been a remarkable run on gold. I still remember in 2021, the Bitcoiners just trouncing gold, saying it was dead. And
Matthew Dixon, CEO EVI, tweeted, "One to watch, #CPI figures due out tomorrow. High CPI causes a decline in risk assets and low CPI causes a rally." Additionally, Mike McGlone, an analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence, predicts that the price of Bitcoin could be the primary indicator of a potential stock market crash. He also remarked that Bitcoin could set the pace for declines in risk assets, suggesting that if there are further declines in risk assets, Bitcoin may lead the way lower.
There's definitely the more uncertainty in the market, the more it's going to create hardships for price to continue up. And I think that's the biggest thing with Bitcoin and for the rest of the crypto markets. And by the way, I mean, I know you said we're going to get to gas fees, but I'm having a hard time figuring out how Ethereum has a major future when the gas fees are as high as they are. That's a big concern of mine. I've been a big fan of Ethereum, but that needs to be figured out. And again, we can get to that in a little bit. But going back to Binance, yeah, I mean, another issue out there that is going to make investors a little bit more hesitant with putting money into cryptocurrencies. And you just have to be careful in this scenario. So in terms of the chart itself, and I'll bring up my chart here so we can take a look. We're basically seeing ETH. We'd had that kind of blow off top right at the highs that took us to just over 2,100. And now we're kind of stuck in this range. And again, you know, you do have a level underneath here, this upsloping trend line in this flat area around 1825 or so. On a technical basis, that is what you want to see ETH hold. If it breaks that, you head to 1,700. That breaks, you're heading down to the 1,500s. But right now, again, you know, you're in this sideways consolidation. ETH to me looks like it's struggling. Couple things that I didn't like about the price action here. When you popped up, you had a few sideways days and then it reversed 100% of the move. Here was a nice green day, and it reversed that move right away. So it seems like right now when ETH is popping, it's getting slammed down very, very hard, which means big money is looking to unload in this range, at least for now. So I'd just be a little bit careful. I mean, those things are just standing out to me in terms of the price action. And again, just something for everyone to kind of pay attention to.
So will Bitcoin now get cleared out and make way for volatility? Or will local support and resistance get insulated with buy and sell walls? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. We'll see you soon in our next video. Thank you for watching.